Good evening. I was just checking the time. I'm hoping to be joined very, very shortly with an awesome individual who I've wanted to chat to on here for a while. I haven't actually been able to catch up with Mr. Wylie for some time. Last time was in the Union Jack Club in London. We sat and we chatted back there. That was about 2 years ago. Good evening. Good. You can make noise for the next couple of minutes. Don't worry. Okay. Yep, he's not due to come on yet. I'm just getting set up because I am shit at IT, so it always puts me back. So I'm just checking. Hi, Craig. There's Marty. Marty Shield. How's things, Marty? Hope you're keeping well. Jordan Wylie. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if this will work. Aha!
Hey, how's it going, mate?
Do you know what? I'm actually surprised because it worked first time. It's how's things?
Yeah, good, mate. All good. How's things?
I can't complain. Just getting on with things. Clearly, this isn't about me. This is about you, Jordan. We're here to. Yeah, things aren't bad, mate. Yeah, I've got a good circle of people around me, and that's what I think we all need as we move forward. Because when someone in that circle is negative, it sort of drags everyone down. So it's going well. Mate, I haven't even had a chance to speak to you since we met last time, but mate, I'm going to say, mate, well done on being a world record holder.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, you're very kind. Thank you.
What's next for you then, Jordan? I know you've got your new book coming out. You're constantly on the go, doing things and promoting Army cadets and the work in this team and stuff. So what's next for you?
Yeah, so at the moment, I don't know if you remember, I was doing this Running Dangerously project a few years ago, which was sort of running through dangerous countries. And then when I finished that, I was supposed to run 10 marathons in the 10 coldest places on Earth. And then COVID scuppered that plan, which is how we ended up doing the paddle instead, because it was closer to home. Yeah. So I did 4 of those marathons last year. Before COVID hit, I did the Siberian Marathon, the Arctic Yukon Marathon, the Iceland Marathon, and Alaska. So I've still got 6 to do. So I'm off to Antarctica in December. Touch wood if COVID allows me to go to South America, but that's the next one that's penciled in. Then we've got North Pole in April next year, and then we'll finish the other 3. So I need to get that out of the way first before I start planning anything else.
How do you come up with these projects? Do you just sit down and think, what's the most craziest shit that I could do?
I guess so, pretty much like that. But I think, as you know, it's always like a lot of the things that you do is always trying to help other people in terms of a good cause or to raise funds or awareness. And your passion has always been the veterans community. My passion is the next generation. I think you've always got to fight for what you believe in, and you're obviously a credit to that. And for me, it's about trying to inspire young people. That's what I spend most of my time doing. And I think in this fundraising, as we know, it's controversial, it's political, it's negativity, and it's very challenging. And for me, I find with Adventures, I try to use Adventures to have a positive impact on the world, I guess. And you've got to do weird, crazy shit because it's so competitive. Everyone's done a skydive, everyone's done a 3 peaks challenge, everyone's done a 10K, and they're all incredible. Take nothing away from people who are doing anything raising money. But if you want to raise, next level into the hundreds of thousands, you have to take on bigger risks, take on bigger projects, and I guess that's what I try and do. I'm not the fittest, I'm not the fastest. I am the fattest. Yeah, I'm not the fastest. But if you're creative and if you're innovative, as you know, you can raise a lot of funds and do a lot of good for other people if you think outside the box. You don't have to be the best in the world, but you've got to think differently, I think.
Well, to be fair, you are a world record holder, so you actually.
No. For me, it's, the record again with the records and things. They're not. Again, to be very completely honest, they don't really matter that much to me, but they're important when you're trying to attract sponsorship and attract donations and things. To me, it's just, you know, a piece of paper that sits getting dusty in an office or whatever. But it is important to sponsors, and also it's important to the media as well, because if you want to get on the BBC or Sky News or whatever it might be to raise the profile of your cause, then there has to be something different about it, and a world record is normally a quick way to get the media on side. So it's not important to me, but important to build the sponsorship, I think.
Well, you've opened up my eyes to a charity. Without you, I wouldn't have known it existed. And I'm going to be honest, Frontline Children, because I had never heard of them, and a lot of people hadn't even heard of it until you decided to take it on, and you've sort of been the ambassador for it. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm in awe at the amount of money and what you've done. You've actually went and built a school for kids, and that is, you know, no one's ever done that. I think that's fantastic. So well done for that.
No, thank you. Yeah, for me it was, as you know, I'm an ambassador. I'm flying the flag at the front, but actually, you know, as you know better than anyone, you don't achieve anything great on your own. There's always amazing people who are the public who support you, people doing social media support for the expeditions. So I just happen to be at the front flying the flag, but it's full of amazing people who, and like even people like yourself who are sharing pages or just giving a shout out, that can have such a massive difference when you've got a big following and things to help a small cause. So you can't do anything great alone. You know, you need the passion to be able to drive it, but then you just got to try and convince everyone to come on the journey with you, I think. And
yeah,
it's challenging, but very rewarding and fulfilling as well. I think there's a big difference in life between perceived success and fulfillment. I think success is something often that's external, and people think about, you know, followership or awards or trophies or records or, you know, how many likes have you got, or things that actually don't really matter in the big scheme of things when all is said and done. And fulfillment on the other side is something that gives you something internally that's a feel-good factor that you can't find from social media validation. It's something that makes you get out of bed in the morning without somebody else telling you or whatever.
Well, that's awesome. I believe you've got another interview in about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Doing some cadet stuff. I love working with cadets. Like most infantry or armored corps frontline soldiers, we were all little naughty boys and girls when we were growing up, and I find that the cadets is a great organisation because it just keeps people. It gives them that bit of guidance. You know, we encourage those core values that we both know so well, and sometimes you just need somebody to give you a little nudge on the right path, especially when you're 14, 15, 16, because, you know, I was in trouble with the police all the time at that age, and, you know, coming from a, you know, pretty rough area on a council estate in Lancashire, in Blackpool, and it was very easy to go down the wrong route quite quickly, and it's, you know, I'm very lucky like you that the military give us an opportunity at 16, 17, and away we went. But not everyone has that opportunity, and sometimes it's too little too late because the crimes and things and the drugs and whatever else has already been done. So I think you've got to pay it forward, haven't you, in life? If you're doing all right, or if you're in a good place, you've got to try and help other people and bring them on that journey with you, I think.
You know what, you've nailed it there. It's getting in a good place. Myself, you, even Brian Wood, all other guys, you know, we've all had pretty low dips, and it's hard to get out of those low dips. But whenever you're seeing people like yourself who's constantly, and you never ever, which I find weird, because with my PTSD, as you know more than anyone, I will say the odd thing which is controversial, but I don't mean to. It's just like blah, purple dye. But you and Brian just seem to post positive things constantly, which lifts me. It lifts me up when I see all the positive things you're doing. And even if someone has a negative comment, you always say thank you, which I find weird.
Do you know? But it wasn't always that way. I learned the hard way, like, you know, like you've done in some respects as well. And you can't fight negativity with more negativity. And I just try and step back and you know, I the block button, the delete or whatever, I just don't engage in it anymore. I used to get really riled by it. And if someone had something negative to say, I'd fight back, and then, you know, I'd be the one losing sleep in it. It caused me so much stress, but I try to not have any negativity in my life. I step away from it very quickly. Even I would say with friends and family, if even in my own family, if someone wants to try and bring negative energy to, you know, to the dinner table or whatever, I can't entertain it. It takes it's such a slippery slope, and when you surround yourself with negativity, you become negative yourself, and you have to cut it out at source, I think, because it's a pretty toxic thing, and it's hard to get out of that rut when you're in it, I think.
Yeah, well, I've noticed over the last couple of years that and I don't know why people do this, Jordan, but I noticed that every time you were achieving something great, you were getting a lot of negativity because of something you were achieving, and it used to annoy me, and I used to try and find out who it was giving you the shit. I'm going to be honest, I had metropolitan surveillance detectives trolling through social media to find who all the negative it started to eat away at me, but I think the best thing you've done in the last, well, not the best, one of the things to help your peace of mind was to come off Twitter.
100%. 100%. It's a very toxic environment. It's got everyone's got an opinion on there. A lot of them don't even have profiles. Do you know, dare I say it, and maybe it's not a nice thing to say, but I often see, and I don't really want to say this, but I think it's true. I think there is a big, even in the veterans community, which is very sad, a big victim mentality. And there's a lot of people who think that the world owes them a bit of a favor sometimes, and it's very easy. I've been in that position before. When I was a rejoiner to the army, I left the army the first time after 5 or 6 years, and then rejoined 6 months later for another 5 or 6 years. And when I left the army in 2005 the first time, I had a victim mentality. I thought that I've served my country. I've done my tours at Iraq, Northern Ireland. Someone's got to give me a job. Somebody owes me a job. The world owes me a favor. The world owes me some opportunities now. But that's not how it is. That's not how life works.
Yeah.
You got to start at the bottom and work your way up again. And you don't forget, whatever rank you got, or the experiences, or the friendships, the tours. But you have to use them to try and do something else in the world, because you got to start again. The world doesn't owe anyone a favor. And if you have that mentality that it does, it's gonna chew you up and spit you out time and time again.
Yeah, there's one of your sayings which I've used many a time and pretend that it was my saying, actually, because I love it.
I lost you completely then. Oh. You was going to say about a saying, one of my sayings that you
One of your sayings was, which I like, is that manners will open more doors for you than education ever will.
No, absolutely. It's definitely not my saying, but I definitely stole it off somebody else many years ago, I think.
Off you. I mean, it's great. I keep an eye. It's hard to keep track with you, though. I mean, you're always doing something. It's hard to keep track. Yeah, I noticed.
I have to stay busy though as well for my own mental well-being. I have to always be working towards a project or have something in the pipeline, because I'm one of those people. If I'm not doing nothing, I go downhill quite quickly as well. So I have to have the brain working. And you finish an adventure or an expedition, I'm like, what am I doing next? And people will say you need to slow down, but I can't, because that's when I go downhill if I don't have something to work towards.
Yeah, well, that's why I started doing all these little chats on the Facebook page. Honestly, I just started doing all the little chats because it's interesting to find out what people are doing and to keep a track of things. But I find your journey very interesting, because it's non-stop. It's non-stop. Other people disappear for a couple of weeks, but you don't. You come back on doing something else and something else, and you're like, "What's Jordan doing?" Well, I don't know. I'll have to check up. And it's fascinating. And you know what? I know thousands of veterans, and you're one of the most highly sought after veterans that are in the UK that I know of, actually. I had loads of messages come in within the last 2 or 3 hours whenever I put up your post saying that you were going to come and have a chat. And everyone was like, great guy, does a lot. So I know.
You're very kind. I'm not sure I deserve that, but you're very kind, and I'm very grateful.
What I would like to see, and I think a lot of veterans would like to see, because we see people getting awards for not doing very much. We do. It's not just in the paper. But what I would like to see the next step for Jordan is maybe Jordan being awarded an MBE for his work for charity work. That would be fantastic. No doubt, would just sit.
No, I don't need any accolades or awards, honestly. Sometimes, what, Trev? Sometimes, quite a few times, I had contacts from, there's lots of different awards in the veterans community, and quite a few times 5 or 6 times in the last 2 years, I've withdrew from, because I don't need, maybe 5 years ago, I needed some kind of validation from externally, but I don't need that validation. For me, I do it because I want to help young people. I don't need a certificate or an award or anything like that. And that's why I know I'm in a good place, because if you'd have asked me 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have been quite pushing the self-promotion to build my profile and quite saying that's a great thing because it'll help me. But honestly, I sleep peacefully knowing that I know my values, I know who I am, what I stand for, and I know that I'm having a positive impact on young people's lives, whether that's cadets or at the other side of the world in Africa on the projects. And I think it's awards are great as well sometimes for when you are trying to build profile, because they do help you reach larger audiences. But I think for me, I'm happy where I am in life, and I don't need that social media. You end up getting this bug of craving validation, of likes, don't you, and retweets and shares, and I don't need that at all in my life. I'm very grateful for it, of course, especially when it concerns a charity, but I don't need anything, honestly. I really don't. And I take my hat off and salute anyone who has been awarded anything, because it's incredible achievement. But for me, I genuinely, and I'm very humbled by what you say, I don't need anything like that. I promise you I don't.
You do great stuff, mate. And it's nice to even be connected, or even to know you. You're a great guy, very well respected. Each month on my First Into Science page, I support a charity, and this month it's the Gurkhas Trust, because it's the Gurkhas are in the, I thought,
Yeah, in the news, definitely.
Asking me, what about the Gurkhas? So I went, okay, I'll do the best. Next month, we're going to go with children and get them on the page and start promoting that, and start trying to raise.
Amazing.
It'll help. Every pound helps, as you always do.
Oh, absolutely. Every penny, every pound helps. Definitely, 100%.
One question, which is one that I need to know for my own personal.
What's it going to be? Where's he going with it?
No, it's about paddleboarding. Tell me this. So, I'm not tall. I always pretend and lie that I'm 6 foot, but I'm nowhere near it. I'm 5'9". So tell me this: what size of paddleboard do I actually need to get? Which I struggle to stand up on them. I'm always falling over. What one do you get to be able to walk on or stand on?
Well, to be honest, it depends what you're trying to achieve from it. Some people like to go on rivers, some like to go on the ocean, some like to use them for expeditions, some like to use them to race. So it's a bit like anything. It depends what your use is. And I suspect you're probably using a board that's ideal for what you need, which is leisure activities with your family.
Yeah.
You just want to jump on a river or a lake and go. So I'm sure what you've got is there's nothing wrong with it. I think what I found is just some basics of getting the basic techniques right, which can take 20-30 minutes, just a few little pointers in terms of how you stand on the board, where you position your feet, how you hold the paddle, those little things. And it's worth learning just 10-15 minutes, even if it's off a YouTube video. That will change your performance by like 50-60%. Because when I went on the ocean for the first 2 weeks, I had not done any paddleboarding really at all, especially not on the ocean. And when I tried to circumnavigate Great Britain, I spent the first 10 days more in the water than I was on the board, for sure. 100%, without a doubt. I've got no qualms in admitting that. I was a terrible paddler, but I learned the hard way. It's no different than one of the other things people do is when they're paddling is you need to have an active blade, which means your blade should be in the water all the time for better balance. So what people do is they stand up and they start sort of wobbling and holding the. You're going to be unstable while your paddle's not in the water. Think of it like a tripod. If you've got a tripod, your legs and then the paddle, it makes you more stable because you can use it to stand up. And the other thing is to get the board moving. It's like the best analogy I can think of is if you sit on a bike when you're a kid, you get on a bike and you sit on it and you just stay still, you're just going to fall over again. It's no different than the same on a paddleboard. You stand on a paddleboard and everyone's standing there waiting to get the balance. You're just going to fall in. You got to get a few little strokes in to get that board moving for your stability. So just some little things like that, and it's a game changer. Honestly, it was for me.
Well, I'm going to try that next time. For me, it's just looking cool, standing up.
Getting a good Instagram picture.
I'll get a friend that to go to me, and he'll stand by the camera, and he'll go right, and I'll go right. You ready? You ready? And I'll stand up, and I look like I've been there all day, and then once the photo's taken, it's back into the water.
That's part of the fun, though. I always say to cadets, we've been doing loads of paddling in the last week or two, and they're always worried about falling in. But it doesn't actually matter what you do, as long as you're safe and as long as you're having fun. It doesn't matter about anything else. I always say to the kids, as long as you're safe, and if you're falling in, that's part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah. So, what do you do for downtime then? Because clearly you're always doing something. What do you enjoy doing?
Yeah, well, I've got a young daughter who's 11, so we spend loads of time out walking, hiking in the rivers, paddling. Wild swimming is a good one at the moment. I've really got into that over the last 12 months or so, jumping in rivers while all the dog walkers think you're a bit crazy and bonkers as they walk past. So I really enjoy that. I think that's good for the mental health and well-being. I think just being outside in general is the best medicine in the world. You know, we've, like you, I've for different reasons, I've tried, you know, lots of drugs, anxiety, depression, you know, sertraline. I still take medication every day for my own challenges, but for me, I think the best medication is to be outside in the great outdoors, exercising as well. You know, I'm like you, I don't love exercising, contrary to popular belief. I don't jump out of bed and want to go to a gym. In fact, I couldn't think of anything worse most of the time, but I know it's good for me and it's good for my body and my mind. So that's why I think one of the great things about the military actually is that even though you're not always motivated, because humans aren't always motivated in life, but what we are is we're very disciplined as former soldiers. So for me, that means we do what needs to be done when it has to be done. So even though we can't be bothered getting out of bed sometimes and going for a walk, I think we're good because we still do it, because we know that, you know, we have the discipline and we have the results come from that. I think discipline is one of the most undervalued traits when it comes to achieving your goals, and something that I learned on the paddle as well. I think perseverance as well is another one where I speak to lots of young people and I say, if you keep on going at whatever it is you're doing, you cannot fail at whatever it is in life. And that was the same with the paddleboarding. As long as, you know, people told me, you know, the trolls came out quite quickly. You will never get to Land's End. You will never get to Wales. You'll never get to Scotland. You'll never cross the Irish Sea. You'll never get around Cape Wrath, and all the trolls and the social media haters. But actually, I didn't give up. I just kept on going. And as long as you chip away and chip away, as long as you don't give up, you cannot fail. You will get there in the end. You will always get there. And that's in business, that's in love, that's in adventure, that's in life, that's in whatever it is you're trying to do. The only time you ultimately fail is if you decide you've had enough and you give up. But if you keep chipping away, you get there in the end, 100%.
Well, that is a great analogy to look at something. Yeah, you're right. It's keeping going, because I find that you're focused on something, and the only thing that can actually sway you off that is external negativity. It's the only sway you from actually trying to achieve something. But you're very strong-minded, so it's great. I love the fact.
But also just on that point, Trevor, I think, you know, one of the things that I had written on my board when I paddled, right on the front of my board, was that famous quote from Mr. Theodore Roosevelt: "It's not the critic that counts," because I always believe that, you know, unless somebody is getting their butt kicked alongside you, whether that's on the battlefield, whether that's in the paddling around Scotland in the winter, unless they're alongside you and in your position, they don't have the right or privilege to be in your headspace. They don't even deserve to be inside your mind to think about them, because they're not there. If they're side by side with you, you know, in the Helmand province, or they're in the Arctic on an expedition, then yeah, they do deserve the respect. But if they're sat behind in a bedroom, you know, on a computer, trolling away at you, they don't even deserve the privilege of being in your headspace, and you shouldn't give them that. Yeah,
yeah. So that's a fair point, actually. Yeah, it's easier said than done, though. For
100%, it's definitely easier said than done.
If you've got loads of shit in your head, small things can niggle away. But as you have now, it's getting a good team around you. If you've got a great team around you that are full of positive.
100%. Yeah, surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah. So, what's your latest book? What's your latest book called?
Yeah, the next book is all about the paddling, actually.
Wow.
It's called The Power of the Paddle. And what I try to do is share some of the lessons that I learned, you know, like some of the things we've just talked about, and, you know, about sort of trying to build mental resilience, you know, sometimes against the odds. But it's about the journey to build that school and to fulfill a promise in Africa. Although we use the paddle as the what we did, that what I always think is important in life is the why you do something, not necessarily what you do. You know, if I could have raised 100,000 by doing my local 5K park run, I would have much preferred to do that, because it'd been a lot easier and a lot shorter.
Yeah.
But it's not about what you do in life. It's about why you do it. So I think that's what I tell the story of making a promise 3 years ago to a little boy, and then the sort of the passion and the drive and the adventure of trying to deliver on that promise. Really,
it was good. I've seen all the pictures and the media, which looks fantastic. Also, I like this. You signed it for me, and I've read that. It's quite a good book. It's not something I've ever been involved in, though. That type of a journey that you went on. Whenever I left the military, I didn't want to use guns anymore. But for some people, Jordan, they just can't get them.
Well, there isn't much scope for tank crewmen, Challenger 2 crewmen in civilian street. So, and hopefully there never will be either. So it was finding a job that I could do.
It's done really well. I mean, it has done really well. I love all the bits and pieces that you're doing, but I'm also fully aware right now that you have to shoot off and get yourself ready for another interview. So, mate, it's been a privilege having you on, having a chat with you. Your passion is still there for frontline children and helping a lot of people. And I hope that a lot of people get behind you even more and raise money for kids that need it, that have been caught up in conflict. But thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I hopefully will get a chance to meet up with you sometime for a pint.
No, thank you, mate. Thank you for inviting me on. You're doing some great work, mate. And you stick in some tough fights as well, and I hugely respect that. You do some amazing work for veterans as well. Sometimes, as you know, it's a thankless task as well. You do a lot of good, and you sometimes don't always get the credit you deserve. But keep hanging on in there, mate. Keep persevering, because a lot of people have a lot of respect for you out there. But thanks again, mate, and I'll speak to you soon. And keep paddling. Stay on your board.
Good luck with the cadets. Take care, buddy. And I'll let you know about my paddling journey. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Bye.